Well, they finally did it. A legacy media journalist in Canada has officially asked the world's worst question to a Canadian politician. It is stunning to me that legacy media journalists can wake up in the morning knowing that they're just going to breezily go down to a press conference and just casually accuse a conservative politician of being like a far right Nazi or being in league with far right Nazis, and they're not going to get any pushback. It really demonstrates how badly the Aaron O'Toole era made the Conservative Party look. That the Conservatives were so weak under Aaron O'Toole that legacy media journalists could just throw any nonsensical question at the Conservative leader, and that they were going to answer it like in good faith, despite how bad faith the question was. But I want to go over to the clip in just a little bit here. But I think Pierre Poilievre absolutely knocked the response out of the park, and his response was effectively no response, and just absolutely needling this journalist for even having the gall to ask such a ridiculous question.
Hello, Mr. Poilievre. A number of your own comments and actions have been characterized as dog whistling to
By
the
who?
far right
By who?
by a number of
By
different.
who?
But I think it's been
By
characterized
who?
by that way. But
By
are
who?
you trying to
Sorry,
court? Are
I
you
just
trying
need
to
to, I
court
need to
the far
clarify.
right?
Sorry,
vote?
I just need to clarify. By who?
By a number
By-
of different experts and a number of
Who are the
different people
experts?
who work
Who are the
work in this.
experts?
Okay, well, I think
All
it's
right.
been established that
Right.
this is a concern.
it's
Are you
not-
trying to court the far right vote?
Who are these experts? You say that there are experts who are saying this. Who are they?
My question is, are you trying to court the
Sorry,
far right vote?
I'm sorry. Your question seems to be based on a false premise. You can't even tell me who these experts are. It sounds like it's just a CBC smear job. Thank you. Next
But what
question.
about the question about whether that's
The answer
that's the
is that
intention?
I have a common sense agenda to axe the carbon tax, bring home powerful paychecks, clear the way to build affordable homes to put people in housing that they can afford. That is a common sense, mainstream Canadian agenda. And I know that Justin Trudeau's supporters are so desperate to distract from that because his political career is falling apart. So we're seeing an attempt here to distract and protect Justin Trudeau from his extremely unpopular carbon taxes and other failing policies. But we won't let him or his or others distract from that reality. So thank you.
So you're not going to
Next
answer that
question.
I think that it's not at all a exaggeration to say that that's a masterclass in how to deal with the Canadian media these days, or at least the legacy media. The independent media tends to be far more fair to people. But that was a global news journalist, Teresa Wright, asking that question, and by far my favorite part after Pierre Poilievre keeps asking her by who when she's alleging that there's like tons of people concerned that he's dog whistling to the far right. She just sort of coolly says, "Oh, I think we've established the fact that people are saying this, so can you please answer the question?" And it's like, maybe Teresa Wright is like a very nice person in her own life, but like what a nasty thing to actually go and accuse someone of. Because we have to understand the implication of saying, "Are you dog whistling to the far right?" Isn't this kind of a whoopsie? Are you kind of maybe doing this thing a little wrong? Should you maybe correct the way that you're phrasing things? No, the question's premise is that you're an evil, awful person trying to court Nazis and other extremists and racists to your cause. That's what generally far right is taken to mean. That's absolutely awful, and it's great that Pierre Poilievre did not accept the premise of the question and went after her for being just awful at her job. And again, this is kind of a bit of a follow up to my previous video about what I titled that the Liberal Party are the real conspiracy theorists, and I would also attach the legacy media to that. That it's insane that all the legacy media outlets a few days ago put out the exact same Canadian press story alleging that somehow Pierre Poilievre and the Conservatives were embracing conspiracy theory language because they simply do not agree with the WEF and they don't agree with the things that WEF says at their conferences and puts on their website. That was considered like conspiracy theories by the Conservative Party that Pierre Poilievre doesn't like the WEF. But it's never a conspiracy theory that the legacy media and the Liberals and the NDP effectively accuse the Conservatives of always being in league with shadowy right-wing racist people that they can never point to a name. They can't even point to their source alleging that Pierre Poilievre is somehow like in league with the far right, because that person would get mocked mercilessly. So no one's going to actually directly make that claim on that make that claim with their own name behind it. Like, yeah, every once in a while you get a left-wing crank who's willing to say, well, I think Pierre Poilievre's in line with like whatever like the sons of Odin, but it's like usually some nobody, but nobody with any credibility or with any undeserved credibility is ever going to actually put their credibility at risk by actually like signing their name to that. But journalists like Teresa Wright will still allege that people out there are saying this garbage, and like again, I think the reason why Pierre Poilievre's answer was so good is that I don't think enough Canadians really understand that whenever that you see a story alleging that a conservative politician is somehow acting inappropriately in terms of their political positions, so infrequently is it ever actually exposed the the nothing that the legacy media has to back up their claims. Again, Teresa Wright literally just defaults to saying, well, a lot of people are saying it. Well, what? Like, I could go up to Justin Trudeau, and again, no independent media journalist would ever dream of doing this. Going up to Justin Trudeau and saying, a lot of people out there are saying you're a communist. What's your response to a lot of people saying that you're enabling the far left and Antifa? Like, that's a very out there question that's not exactly serious and is very, very bad faith. And no independent media journalist would ever ask that. Yet the legacy media, who fancies themselves these high level professionals so much better than the sort of like junky independent media, they'll basically go up to the microphone at a press conference and say, are you in league with Nazism? Like, it's just patently absurd, and it demonstrates their paranoid conspiratorial thinking when it comes to dealing with conservatives in the media. And I think that not that it proves it, it's just another piece of evidence that the legacy media is obviously colluding against the Conservative Party. I guarantee you, no legacy media outlet like CTV News, City News, Global, or CBC will call out Teresa Wright as having and her question as being inappropriate. They're not going to follow up on this and say, yeah, I think people should be more fair to conservative politicians. At press conferences when they're sending them questions, that the questions should be in good faith and not have negative implications baked into them. Because if Pierre answered that question and he said, no, I'm not trying to dog whistle to the far right, that's not what I'm trying to do, the premise of the question is effectively that there's enough information out there to suggest he's doing that. So him answering the question is already effectively giving it some sort of power over him. It's acting as if that question is legitimate and that people should be concerned about it. And again, the legacy media will never call out their own for acting in this way towards conservative politicians. And I think that effectively constitutes informal collusion in the legacy media world. They know that Justin Trudeau and the Liberals are holding the purse strings and that they're willing to fund them. And they know that the Pierre Poilievre and the Conservatives want to defund the legacy media because they're unfairly using a lot of taxpayer money to not do a very good job and to do a very biased job at delivering the news. So they're going to skew every single story, every narrative in the mainstream press to being anti-conservative, to always asking sort of these questions about if the Conservatives are up to anything and should we be worried about the Conservatives without justification. They will never do the same thing for the Liberals, even though the Liberals scandals that they keep dealing with would suggest that you should maybe ask a little bit more questions about the motives and the audiences the Liberals are reaching out to, especially with the CCP interference scandal that's currently still going on. But, who cares? The legacy media, they're the legitimate people that are on television and are, backed up by the CRTC. So never ask a question about them. It's just those independent reporters like me sitting in our basements who are the evil people because, we don't have the nice credentials and the press passes. Well, whatever. But that's the end of this video, and I just wanted to plug my legal fundraiser that I have going. I'm being sued by a Chinese billionaire at the moment. I'm winning that lawsuit. My lawyer, Jonathan Dozen, this is fantastic if you're in the Calgary area and if you ever need legal services done. He's over at Guardian Law. But I have a Give, Send, Go legal fundraiser that I'm linking in the description of this video if you want to contribute a couple dollars just to help me pay for it. I've already had to pay $15,000 into defending myself. And I'm also going to put in a link to TNT's email list so that because of Bill C-18 and it's really hard to get information out there, if you guys sign up to that email list, we'll be able to directly send you some of the articles we write and the videos we make, because especially article these days are very, very difficult to distribute online since you can't put any Canadian news on Facebook or Google thanks to the Liberals. So if you could do that, that'd be great. And, have a nice day despite having to live in Justin Trudeau's Canada.